This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Jr.
The villain, Marty Scurll.
The Mexican Rey Fenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open.
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 Boston Wide Open.
Busted Wide Open podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome everybody to BWO Live, coming to you from Twitch, here to break down all the things that we just watched on TakeOver 31. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And yes, we are here to talk about NXT's latest pay-per-view, originating now from the Capitol Wrestling Center, not to be confused with the Capitol Center, which used to be in Washington, D.C., and used to have a lot of WWE house shows, and is a very venerable place for WWE. No, they actually have revamped the Performance Center to now be, honestly, they have a little bit of the Thunderdome and a little bit of like an underground fight club feel, where they now have chain link fence over the plexiglass and even more people behind it slamming on it. And I got to say, Nick, before we even start talking about the show itself, this was a really good look.
Yeah, it was.
For NXT. I love how it looked. It kind of out Raw Underground. And it made the actual Thunderdome itself seem kind of little lame by comparison, like a little
cartoonish.
Yeah, a little
by comparison.
Too slick. But that makes sense. That is the difference fundamentally between NXT and WWE
Right.
main roster. Triple H did say he didn't want to have it be in the Thunderdome because he had an aesthetic that he wanted to protect in NXT, and I gotta say, he protected it.
Yes, he
with
did.
the look of this show. But Nick, we got to talk about all 5 of the matches here, 4 of which were title matches. Lots to discuss, but let's do some housekeeping, and then we can get into the rest of the show.
Yes, for those of you that haven't joined us before, welcome to the stream first and foremost. But we also have a Discord community where you can come and hang out and talk about wrestling all throughout the week, and we have live chat channels for pay-per-views such as TakeOver 31 tonight. We've got an ongoing one for the G1 that's happening over in New Japan. So if you're not into the Discord yet, scroll down a little bit. The panel's right below, or you can just do !Discord right here in the chat and get a direct link right to it. You definitely want to be in that if you're a fan of wrestling, or if you're a fan of Nick and Sir Ian Dangerous right here on Busted Wide Open. Also, come follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Subscribe at youtube.com/Busted Wide Open. And a big shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you guys so much for making this show possible. If you'd like to get in on some of those exclusives, such as the ability to get access to show notes, audio-only versions of the podcast episodes, bonus episodes, all kinds of good stuff, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those reward tiers and get in today. Aside from bits and subs right here on Twitch, it is the best way to support the show. So thank you guys for all of your support every single month. But Ian, as you said, we have a lot of wrestling to talk about in what was a very small card over on TakeOver 31.
It may have been a small card, but there was a lot of big matches. Opening the show, we had Johnny Gargano versus Damien Priest for the North American Championship. And out of the gate, we had a banger of a match.
Yeah.
This was right out the gate, fantastic match. Both guys going balls to the wall in this match. Sometimes literally, the match ended shortly after Johnny Gargano outside drew a gigantic tope con hero from Damien Priest, going over the top rope, 6'7", coming down on 2 poor security guards. And then while the ref was trying to make sure that they weren't dead, Johnny came up behind Damien Priest and gave him a surprise kick in the ghoulies.
He kicked old Damien right in the Priest.
Oh, my goodness. He's going to have to pray after that one because, my God, everything south of his navel shook when that foot connected from behind. I was curled up on my couch screaming. And
gives new meaning to the phrase "fall and pray."
Yeah, fall on your knees. But yet somehow he was able to kick out after getting back in the ring, powered through a Gargano escape, powered through some super kicks, and ended up countering the one final beat into a final reckoning for the 1-2-3. Just straight up beat Johnny Gargano. And I think that was the right decision, Nick. I know you had called for the Gargano prophecy to come true tonight. You had called for both Candice LeRae and her husband to win tonight, and Johnny Gargano makes that prophecy untrue right out of the gate of the evening. Johnny Gargano loses that match, and it didn't come true. I figured that in this match it would be best if they actually put over Priest, because if you want to establish him as a star, you shouldn't have him lose to a star from 2 or 3 years ago.
Especially not on the night he finally gets a proper Tron. And that place looked amazing, by the way.
Oh, great entrance from him. And, if this was the match, I think they could have cemented who he was. And I feel like they did.
Yeah.
I feel like he's had some very good moments, but right before becoming the champ and then even after becoming the champ. But this was really, I think, where they put the rubber stamp on him and said, yes, he is a future major star in NXT. And also Priest, to his credit, has stepped up to earn that. You and I both were concerned about some of his early, like when he was a heel for a while there, some of his early mannerisms and just his presentation. And it's not just the fact that he went face. There's a lot of things that are working now about Damien Priest. There's a lot of things that are working full throttle. I think he's figured out who he wants to be in NXT. They figured out what he should be in NXT. And I feel this was the match where they finally put the jewel in the crown.
Yeah.
So
I mean, looking back on it, if I had known when we did our picks that they were gonna like overhaul the entire place and turn NXT into its own pit fighter version of Thunderdome, then yeah, okay. And we would have had a Neutron. I probably wouldn't have said, okay, this is the time to do that.
Excuses.
Oh, sure. Listen, fantastic match. Both these guys. Absolutely both these guys. They went out there and they put it on, and what a way to open the show. I can't take anything away from either one of them. I'm actually very happy that our good old Punishment Martinez got a good defense here against Johnny Takeover. There's not many people that can go out there and put on the kind of match that Johnny Gargano can. And if you want to, put somebody over, right? There's not many people in NXT better than Johnny Gargano to go out there and give you the kind of match that'll do that. And he absolutely did that tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And the only question I had was it wise to start off the show poking a hole in that Gargano prophecy? I think it's negligible. You had to do it somewhere.
Yeah.
There's only 5 matches on the show. It is what it is. And this was the right match to start the show.
Yeah, I agree.
think. So the question now is what happens next? You've got Johnny Gargano online already saying it's comical. Something has to change at some point. And I agree. He has to stop losing at some point. Otherwise, we're going to stop taking him seriously every time we have one of these matches. And I don't know if that means that this feud continues. I kind of don't think it should. I think the Priest should move on to another more interesting opponent, whether it's Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed again, or whoever. But I don't know if they should continue the Gargano-Priest feud now that Priest won so decisively.
No. I mean, we had that huge tournament to determine the number one contender. And then, there's no reason to do it. Let's move on, right?
Yeah.
Let's just move on from it. And yeah, as far as the Gargano's prophecy, this wasn't a good look for it. I don't know where they go from here with them. So, I want to save a lot of my sort of proselytizing until we get to the very end, because I don't want to eat into some of our commentary on the other matches.
All right. Well, let's talk about Candice LeRae later, but we'll move on to another match that you actually got right: Kushita versus Velveteen Dream. This is the match that I think we all had the most questions on this show, because right now, for a lot of the wrestling audience, Velveteen Dream is a tainted commodity. Whether you subscribe to the innocent until proven guilty belief, whether there was just too much evidence for you to ever truly clear his name in your mind, which is kind of where I'm at, or whether you just straight up are like, no, he's a complete scumbag. I'm 100% convinced he shouldn't be in wrestling. I want him fired. No matter where you fall on that spectrum, Dream is a troublesome personality right now. And he's coming out still acting like old Velveteen Dream. He was mocking Kushida by coming out looking like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, because of course, Kushita's gimmick has always been that he's the Japanese Marty McFly. He, comes out looking at his watch, checking the time. He's a time splitter. He's got the orange vest, the boots, yada, yada, yada. It's been his gimmick forever. So he's mocking Kushita out the gate. Very Velveteen Dream thing to do. But the real story here to me was they're trying to push this newly, quote, aggressive, vicious Kushita. And from that aspect, this was a resounding success.
Yeah.
Even though he had to have a match with Velveteen Dream, the way that they set this match up was Kushita had Dream's number from the get-go. He didn't even let him do his full entrance. He came in and started beating him up before the bell. He just was taking it to him the entire match. Dream did get in some offense. Dream, has quite a few inches vertically on Kushita. But Kushita just was such an aggressive style in this match that Dream just couldn't fend him off. And at the end, even though Dream put a Dream Valley driver on Kushita in the middle of Kushita throwing the hoverboard lock on him, Kushita just didn't let go and forced Dream to tap after having him in submission for 5 minutes at least. So this was, even though Dream did get in some offense just so that it wasn't a complete and utter beatdown, this was still Kushita dominating Velveteen Dream. And in a lot of ways, I think that is actually, if they had to have this match, that was the way to do it.
Yeah.
Was to have this be almost a public humiliation of Dream, and in a sense have Kushita being our avatar, punishing Dream. And so in the process, Kushita also gets over in our mind because he's the guy out there being the good guy and beating up this guy who we think is a bad guy. Now, whether that kayfabe story is going to cathartically work on people, that's time will tell. But do you feel, Nick, when you watched this match that by the end of the match you didn't care that it was Velveteen Dream, or did you feel better that Kushita was beating him up? Did you feel that catharsis in this?
No, it's if you go back to what you just said a little bit ago, I would like him off TV until he is cleared, and I feel like that's fair. I believe in innocent until proven guilty, but I also believe in thorough investigations, not just taking someone at their word. And we've all seen enough for there to warrant that level of more than your word kind of investigation. We saw Jack Gallagher come out today and give a statement. This is all still happening, guys. The whole thing is not done. We haven't moved on from it. And the fact that hang on one second. The fact that Dream is still on our TVs, still one of 5 matches on a major pay-per-view for NXT, and all of the... It's fine if he wants to come out and have a moment or something like that on NXT, but that's different than taking a match away from someone else on a proper pay-per-view. And that's where I sort of go, yeah, you could have picked somebody else. I didn't need the public humiliation. I'm not into that kind of thing. I'm not looking for revenge. I just want him off my TV.
Except that, again, to speak to your point, you say that you're waiting for the investigation. Well, Triple H has said there was an investigation. It's done now. Dream is clear. So we have to take Triple H's word for it, except that anyone who knows what's going on outside of that knows that there's actually a loophole where there's no way that Dream could actually be held accountable for this.
Right.
And so there's no investigation that needs to happen. The police weren't contacted, and nothing's really come of it. So we will never know. And the fact that Dream was on this show, as I said, I think is because they wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Get Kushita over and make us start basically cathartically moving through our anger at Dream, and doing that by having him get beaten up, right? So that's why I think he had the slot on here. Triple H in an interview before the show said that Dream, I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but it was his personal life outside of the ring, he's acted immature, and that has affected his career in the ring. And a lot of people immediately jumped on that and said, immature is very different than grooming and sexual misconduct with minors.
Right.
That's immature hardly covers it. But of course I'm
a man in his 40s that likes video games and action figures. That's a little immature.
Right.
Right.
I see nothing immature about that whatsoever, by the way.
Let's wrap this up. I got to catch up.
Just wrap this up. Then I want to do the catch up. But what I was going to say, just to kind of put a finish on this, was that if WWE's mentality is, oh, Dream, you scamp, that's not good enough for me. And if Triple H wants to say, well, it's impacted his career, whether it's, you know, the rumors of him liking the white powder a little bit too much, or what, you know, him bashing in someone's car window in the PC parking lot because he had a fit of pique. Like, okay, yes, you were able to rehabilitate Shawn Michaels eventually, but Dream is no Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels, as far as we know, never groomed underage boys. Underage girls, maybe. Never heard any official reports about it, but doesn't matter here or there. You know, that it was a different time, obviously, so we might not have heard about Shawn Michaels, some of the horrible crap Shawn Michaels did. And the wrestling business as a whole has a history built on people with horrible behavior outside of the ring.
Right.
But it's a different time, and these are very serious accusations, and as a result, it doesn't matter if you have some public hazing on Dream. It doesn't change the basic facts that there are some extremely serious allegations out there against him that we have to take seriously, and WWE not taking it seriously doesn't mean that he should be on TV.
Yeah.
And we can't just forgive that, even if you do have a match built like this, to try to make us feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter, you can't just send a tweet and say, we did our investigation, he's cleared.
It's cool. We need more than that. Yeah, it's way too many questions out there. Don't say sweeping under the rug ain't going to always work.
No. You Gonna Catch Hands opened us up with 100 bits. Thank you very much.
We're going to catch 100 bits from those hands.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Kyle with 100 bits said, how about a tag team of Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano taking the titles off of Breezango? Yeah.
Okay.
I think they both have. Yeah, I'm not generally a fan of that.
Nick is never gonna buy two singles guys as a tag team. I'm not mad at that, but I feel like they can be used somewhere else, and you can make a tag team out of other people. Like, for instance, someone in our next match. But we'll talk about that in 1 second, Nick. Any more catching up we have to do?
Yeah, lots. Kyle, thank you, Kyle. Another 100 bits. Marty just got tired of Doc Brown nearly erasing existence over and over again and wanted to take that arm home with him as payment. Very cathartic match. Love it.
See?
Yeah, I think that's. Work. I think you might get a little split on that. I mean, I think there's some people that are looking at that as a level of catharsis, but some of them, I still that's not what I was watching.
I think it's brilliant booking in that sense. If you're trying to sweep it under the rug and make people feel better about the situation, that was how you do it. That was wrestling 101.
Go away for 3 to 6 months, you know, with a shoulder injury because Kushita beat him down so hard. Sure.
Yeah, the beatdown after the match, you could definitely do that. Kushita was vicious as hell. Came back and just beat the crap out of him after the match just to kind of drive it home.
To the point that I was even putting in a link to my shoulder surgeon in the Discord just in case Dream needed somebody to repair it. Okay. Brian with 100 bits says, I want Kushita versus Balor. Iron Man match. Then Karrion Kross coming out and destroying the winner. I wouldn't be mad at that. And also, Kyle gifted a Tier 1 sub to Tane Angel. Thank you very much, Kyle. Tane Angel, make sure you thank Kyle for that gifted sub. Okay, we're caught up. Where do we go from here? We said enough all we want to say about... here's what I want to say. All we do is talk about Velveteen Dream. I want to talk about Kushita for a minute.
Yeah.
What did you think about this new look for Kushita? Does it work for you, or do you want old junior heavyweight IWGP Kushita back? Do you like him out in jeans as a brawler?
I liked the Kushita. The Kushita that got over with me was the Kushita that got beaten in under 2 minutes by Hiromu Takahashi and then came back and had an absolute war with him at Dominion 2017.
Yes.
And it was one of my matches of the year that year. And that Kushita...
I remember going back and watching that one on your recommendation after I watched the G1 that year. Yeah.
It's so good. They open it up with just hitting each other in the face for 5 minutes. And so this Kushita is that minus the pageantry and the Back to the Future gimmick. Because in Japan, they understand you can do the gimmick, but then once you get in the ring, you're a wrestler, right? Hiromu Takahashi can come out in just insane... multicolored Joseph in the Technicolor Dream coat, peacock feathers, and just looking like, someone on acid had put together his clothes while on a mean bender of methamphetamines and an open, like in the middle of a clothing shop, just cut all these clothes up and sewed them together. That's Hiromu Takahashi. The second gets into the ring, he's legitimate as hell.
Yeah.
And Kushita's the same way. But in the U.S., we see a 5'5", 5'6" Asian guy come out dressed like Marty McFly, and we immediately just go, okay, you're a goof.
Right.
And he's not. The dude has got a 6-2-0 MMA record. He is just, 6-0-2, 6 wins, 0 losses, 2 draws. The dude is legit badass. So, yeah, whatever they have to do to convince the American audiences that this guy is a freaking buzzsaw. He's the new Tajiri, just not, well, we don't know if he's funny yet, but he could be the new Tajiri in a lot of ways. I think he's actually a more skilled wrestler than Tajiri in a lot of ways. So, however you have to do it to convince them, this was a good step.
Yep, I agree.
He's had injuries, he's been held back, and you've got to now really, really light that rocket fuel to get him going. This was the way to do that.
100%.
So very excited for that.
I love seeing this aggression out of Kushita. He usually seemed very passive, always trying to get you into some kind of submission hold. But even though that's what he was doing most of this match, there was a certain level of just meanness to it.
He was biting his fingers. He was like, he had one arm lock on him where he was biting Dream's fingers to try to create extra tension on the wrist. Like it was, he felt vicious. He felt mean. He was hitting him, as you said, he always seems like he's taking his time, leading the audience through how he's getting into these submission holds. And this one, he's like, no, I'm not going to lead you. I'm just going to go for it. And in between, I'm going to get some shots in while I'm transitioning. Yeah. So, no, much, much better presentation.
Big fan of this one. Also coming out in jeans instead of like basketball shorts.
Yeah, like ripped jeans. Yeah.
Yeah, always going to get a win for me.
Absolutely. And also, as we said, the ambiance of the place too with the chain link and everything, it helped as well.
Yeah,
made him look like a pit fighter. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, next up we got Santos Escobar defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Isaiah Swerve Scott, the old King Cuerno versus Killshot match, which we had ideas of. We were going to get into some lucha action here, and yeah, we did. We didn't go full ham lucha. But there were some hints of it. There were some inklings of it. Ian, what were your thoughts going into this? Did it deliver? Do you think we both picked Santos to retain?
We did. We thought it was too soon to drop it off of him, especially with all the work that he's done. And legitimately, actually, like this is the first time a Cruiserweight Championship has ever been defended on a TakeOver pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So that alone tells you that they have some plans for Santos Escobar, at least in my opinion, that they did. But that didn't keep them from really making us wonder at the end of this match who was going to win. It was a fantastic match. It was actually one of I for a while there had it as my favorite match of the show because it started off, in my opinion, kind of slow. And I was like, I was surprised at how relatively slow it started. But it was the psychology of Swerve trying to show off that he could do lucha stuff and Santos being taken aback at first and then realizing what was happening and saying, no, that's my world. And then taking over the match and dominating for a while. And then once Swerve mounted a comeback, you had Legado de Fantasma come out to ringside, start to interfere, but then get chased off by Ashanti. What does he call himself now? Ashanti Adonis. The Adonis. He chases off Legado de Fantasma, and we get down to the end of the match, which was just trading moves. They both hit their big moves. They both kicked out of their big moves, and it was only because Swerve slipped on the apron at one point and bonked his head on an exposed turnbuckle screw that he was able to then get taken back into the ring and taken out with a Phantom Driver.
I was legit worried there for a second when he did that because it was the buckle behind that holds the turnbuckle on that you just rotate to secure it to the ring post. I thought he hit his head legit. Like we might have gotten a busted open kind of back of his head.
I do want to correct myself. The Phantom Driver was what Swerve's kicked out of, but then it was like a double underhook shoulder breaker or neck breaker that he used for the actual finish, and it was a crazy move. But I dug it. But it was a solid finish. It was a fantastic match. These guys absolutely over-delivered. I was furious that they didn't spend more time talking about how great Santos Escobar's Tope Suicida is, because it's one of his signature moves, and it just kind of happened. And they went back and talked about it afterwards, like, oh, yeah, that was a crazy one. I was like, no, at the time, you have to build it up. But this was a fantastic match again, and I think one that a lot of people might not have been ready for because a lot of this feud has taken place on 205 Live. It's just been kind of in the secondary levels of NXT when it's been on. So it's a lot of the simmering of this has been done elsewhere. Maybe it wasn't in the forefront of people's minds. But I can't imagine that anyone saw this match and didn't go, wow, these guys are talented. Because it was incredible. But as you said, Swerve didn't win.
Yeah.
So what does that mean now? Are we going to see a rematch, or is that it and Santos moves on? And if so, where does Swerve go? What does he do now that he's lost his chance? Who's the next person to challenge Santos? That Lord knows there are other people who have story with him, whether it's Kushita, whether it's Drake Maverick. But Drake was in a storyline where it looked like he was going into a tag team. Kushita looks like he's going more into the major leagues in NXT. So who do you think's next for Santos Escobar?
I'm wondering if Adonis is going to play into this. If we're going to start bringing up new 205 guys to have some new contenders, some new blood. We had the great tournament this summer with all of the Drake drama and all of that stuff. But it looks like Swerve came out of it, but nobody has been able to other than Swerve, who had corrected us. I thought it was just you thought it was just the only one that had beaten him, but he actually has 2 pinfalls over him. I thought it was only one.
I think one was in a tag match, but it's still a pinfall.
Sure, with Fandango and all of those guys. Yeah. So I don't know where we go from here. I have some ideas for the North American Championship because there's a line of dudes that are lined up ready for North American Championship contention. But for the cruiserweight, I'm sitting here scratching my head a little bit. Other than Ashanti, who got a little bit of a shine tonight coming out for the save.
And also got a backstage promo saying that he's going to be he's glowing up.
Yep.
So, and I wondered if we're going to end up seeing Swerve and Ashanti in a tag team. Was one thing that crossed my mind. So, another thing that I saw postulated was that we'll have another match between the two, maybe a cage match or something more extravagant at the next Takeover, which is going to be Takeover Halloween Havoc, which was announced on this show with the dear Shotzi Blackheart announcing it because she is horror maven outside of WWE. She used to do like an Elvira style horror movie presentation back in the Bay Area. Represent. So yeah, that's Halloween Havoc. First of all, I'm excited as hell for Halloween Havoc to come back.
First time in 20, was it 99?
20 years. Yeah. And the last few weren't good. So I'm
Will
feeling
James
that NXT will make it good.
Will James threw 100 bits in. Thank you, Will. Said, I could see Santos beating a couple more up-and-comers until Swerve completes the redemption. Completes the redemption trail and beats him in a few months down the road. Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Certainly possible. Could circle back around in a while, yeah.
Yeah. Kyle threw 100 bits in. He says, honestly, I'm happy about Ashanti being here because it actually rewarded 205 Live viewers who have seen all those guys pissed at LDF imposing their will on 205 Live. Yeah, that's a great call out too, Kyle. Guys, if you're not watching 205 Live, it's probably some of the best it's been in a long time. You probably got to go back to Buddy and Cedric 2 years ago to find the caliber of content they're putting out now.
They're doing good work over there for sure. It's just too bad that people have kind of forgotten about it, and they don't promote it either.
No. There was a time earlier this year, end of last year, it felt like they were merging. And like we said, for the first time tonight, we had the Cruiserweight Championship defended on a takeover. So that's still kind of up in the air. I don't really know. They still doing 205 Live. I don't know why they don't just make it part of NXT officially and, merge the two. Why do we have to have a fourth brand? I just that's confusing to me. It feels tailor-made for NXT.
Or call it NXT 205 Live. You know what I mean? Just officially make it part of the brand.
Sure.
So we both, as you said, we both saw Santos retaining here. It'll be curious to see what happens next in the Cruiserweight division, but it'll also be curious to see what happens next in the women's picture, the women's title picture, because we did have Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship on this show, a match that you felt it was time for the Gargano prophecy to come true, Candice LeRae to pick up the win. I felt like Io Shirai needed to retain here. She just needs another strong victory, I think. They tend to let the women have longer reigns. Plus, I felt that there was a lot of other people that she could be looking at in the women's division going forward, including a rematch with Rhea Ripley, which had been teased before the takeover. And what we ended up seeing in this match was a slow beginning and then just an absolutely fantastic women's match, in a lot of ways echoing the previous takeover match that Io Shirai and Candice LeRae had, which was also a banger. And the two women showed why they're two of the best in the world, frankly. Yeah. This was another one of those.
Yeah, it was.
Where it was just a fan-frickin-tastic match with a nice, long, slow build and ended up being just fire by the end.
I was worried about it when the chat descended into arguing over whether or not anybody liked Candice LeRae's trunks. But that usually is a sign of people being bored with the match to an extent. But the ending here really did pick up. and they shifted it into. They didn't quite get into fifth gear, but they went into fourth gear pretty strong. By the end of it, we started. Candice LeRae had Io in a Gargano escape, and Io broke out of it, quote unquote. And Candice's arm went flying into the referee, and the referee takes his first bump, right? And then Io goes up for one of her moonsaults. Candice gets the legs up, throws Io into the ref again, and he takes another bump going to the outside of the ring, but bumping like Rock took a stunner. Just kudos to that
out
ref.
of the ring. Yeah,
right.
like Sami Zayn on that ladder at the last pay-per-view.
Right, exactly. So
like a seal doing a trick.
We got a hype train going, by the way. Thank you guys so much. I'll call all of them out in just a minute once we get done with this match. For me, though, this was one of those, again, that I wanted something to happen. I wanted to be more invested in it, but I'm at the end, I'm left wanting more. Because go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because, this was the part where I started wondering if it was the right call. And that was, ref takes a bump. Johnny Gargano comes running down, throwing on a referee shirt, runs in, does a quick count, and Io Shirai barely kicks out. And then Johnny says, no, it was a 3, and tries to award it to Candice LeRae. Ref gets up back inside the ring, starts arguing with Johnny, saying, you're not a real referee. Get out of here.
No, you go. No, you go.
While,
no, you go.
While
no,
Johnny
you go.
and the ref are arguing, he slides Candice the title. She smacks Io with it, and the ref goes down to count, and Io kicks out.
I thought that was it.
I thought it was over right there, too.
Yep.
And then Johnny Gargano's doing the great heel sell outside, the frustration, flopping on the floor and freaking out. Brilliant. So it was very surprising that she kicked out, and then gave Candice LeRae a Spanish fly and the moonsault for the 1-2-3 retention win. I was shocked that they had Io stay so strong at this moment, especially with the interference. But do you feel the interference was necessary, given how good of a match it was up until that point? Or do you feel like that was a way to sell the story, and the story needed to be a part of the finish of this match?
See, before I answer that, can we talk about what happened after the match?
No, that's a separate issue altogether.
Okay. So my whole,
I know you're excited to.
My
Everyone
hot
who saw it
take
knows why Nick is excited to get to the aftermath of this match. But no, Nick, keep your panties on. We have to get there eventually. Let's talk about this.
My hot take going into this on our pick'ems was that Candice was going to go over Io, and then that was going to be the reveal of whoever else was going to come out and challenge next. And you were going to see all of these other challengers now show up, because Io's had it for some time now. So that was my thing, was Io. It's arguable. I'm on the fence about whether or not Io has been a good, effective champion. Obviously, if you look at the in-ring work, she's fantastic. But I'm a little bored. Outside of the matches, she's fantastic. But I want a little bit of promo drama and stuff. The video package that they did earlier this year, fantastic.
Hashtag wrestling. I'm getting good women's matches, and she's a strong champion, and it's awesome, but I'm bored.
Something's missing.
What is missing?
What the Garganos could bring to the table.
What? Oh, I see. So you want the snarky heel stuff that they're doing?
Some telenovela. Some drama, right? Not dining room scenes, dinner table scenes anymore, but like having a couple of shitbag heels running around with the championships, taunting everyone, would be fantastic.
In your world, not in mine. That sounds terrible.
All right.
I think that Candice could have been an interesting champ, but when you start saying at the Gargano dinner table and them bitching about their broken TV, I'm like, I don't want the women's champ to be doing that stuff. But again, this is all very hashtag wrestling. We got what we got, and it was an excellent, it was a
fantastic match.
Fantastic match. Io did retain, and let's get to the part that you really want to talk about here, Nick, which is what happened after the match, which is all of a sudden I don't know what to call it, the Thunderdome-tron, all the little Zoom calls up on the wall go bye-bye, and in the middle of them we have a gigantic image of one Toni Storm, who says that finally she's coming back to NXT, and everyone's going to recognize that she's there because it's Toni time. Puts on her sunglasses. Toni Storm out. And somewhere I heard a blood vessel pop in Nick Howell's forehead. So, Nick, let's first talk about Toni Storm, because she wasn't the only surprise entrant after the match. What do you think about Toni Storm coming back to NXT?
Well, duh. I mean, real talk.
2 years after you called it. 2 years after you called her doing it.
Yeah, real talk. I knew. I just couldn't tell you guys NDAs and all that stuff. You know, She had told me in confidence, but.
Right. How is that 3-way with you, her, and Juice going? By the way?
Yeah, he's busy with the G1. So.
Oh, is that what? So you snuck in there?
Right.
Creeped in the DMs again.
She's back stateside.
That's why.
It's
so
she
creepy.
knows where the
bread's
bread's buttered.
Okay, moving on. Also, we found out who the superstar who's been doing promos.
What do you think about Tony Time?
It's fine, but I actually want to talk about in the context of both of them because we found out who the motorcycle riding, green, computer hue superstar that they've been teasing for the last few weeks. We found out who that was, and sure enough, it was our second choice. We first thought it was Bo Dallas. We knew it was a former NXT champion, and then when we got a better look at her, we realized she had the little shoulder fur on there, and it wasn't the right height for a guy and had a woman's hands, and we immediately were like, oh God, it's Ember Moon. And sure enough, it was revealed that it was indeed Ember Moon. She is back from physical rehab. Her career is not over, as she had suggested it might be. Fantastic news. But she also came out and gave a nice little nod to Io Shirai. So Toni Storm and Ember Moon back, and you can't imagine they would be anywhere else but in a title picture. Meanwhile, before the whole pay-per-view, Rhea Ripley saying, I don't care who wins, I want my shot at the title, as Triple H puts her over as being someone who's going to be in the top, very, very tippy top of the whole of wrestling in general in 5 years. That's a lot of talented women in NXT, and that's just the people that we're talking about right now, let alone the good 10 or 15 other women I could bring up who are still in NXT who are viable people to be on your TV show.
Right.
Their women's roster is huge. It is the biggest, most talented women's roster in mainstream wrestling. Hard stop. That's not even, I don't think that's even a debatable point. Even the main roster of WWE has done a good job of making, I think, anyone who's not in the title picture irrelevant by comparison. So that's pretty wild that they brought back two massive stars like this, or people who, if they're not massive stars yet, they're going to be.
Former champs. Tony's had every title around the world, including the NXT UK title, and Ember's former NXT and women's champion. So yeah, you've got two big former champions coming back. That's huge. The weight that they carry, the pedigree that they carry. And if you look at Ember, she was fighting with Asuka and Peyton and a lot of the other names that we now know as stalwarts of the main roster. So there's all of that behind her as well. And coming back, from an injury that a lot of people don't come back from. Mm-hmm. A lot of professional athletes, period, don't come back from a severe Achilles injury, Xavier Woods.
And honestly, Len, it's definitely something that is, you can see why she might want to go back to NXT, and I'm going to be a little bit snarky here because on the main roster, they just had her chasing around after the 24/7 title, and that's how she got injured.
Yeah.
She got injured chasing after the stupid 24/7 championship, not being a superstar like she could and should be. So damn right she goes back to NXT where she can be cool again.
Yep.
So I think it's a great move for her, but this does really pack the women's picture now. Is it time, Nick? Is it time to create a secondary women's title?
Yes.
A women's North American championship,
yes,
if you will. Because I that's a simple answer. I thought you had.
Duh.
No. Okay. Simple answer.
There's no explanation, no commentary needed. Absolutely yes. We need something other than the NXT Women's Championship for the ladies to fight over. I thought we would get more participation from NXT for the Women's Tag Team Championships. That hasn't happened. I thought a lot of these ladies would get formed up together. It absolutely mind-boggling to me that we haven't used this stable of women that we have in NXT to really pump up that women's tag team division. But no.
They've got to take some ownership of the tag titles at some point.
Sure.
Triple H has to step in and be like, can we just throw that my way? Because the main roster, Vince doesn't even like tag teams to begin with, let alone women's tag teams. And we've seen that with how insane the booking is of those titles on the main roster, where they're either props for storylines or they're just last minute plot twists that they throw in to screw up some of their other booking, like what they did with Shayna. So, Nick, I know we have a lot to catch up on, and it's all relevant to this. So let's catch up real quick before we move on to our main event.
Absolutely. Got to get through that hype train. Costanza with 100 bits said, Nick, how's your heart rate? It went through the roof.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Thank you very much. Will said, threw in 100 bits, said, Tony Storm. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I cannot wait till we get to cheer that just like we used to NXT UK. Kyle threw in 100 bits, said all roads lead to Io and Ripley, and after this takeover, it seems like that's our Mania takeover at this rate, with Tony being brought over after Raquel is tailor-made person to keep Rhea busy a bit longer. Really excited for the women's division going forward after this. I as much as I want a rehash of the Rhea versus Tony NXT UK, I'm not sure we're gonna get that. I'm guessing Tony might be coming in as face here.
Or she might be the block. She might be the one who's blocking Rhea from getting to Io.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really good point. Thank you, Kyle.
Run that back because of the history there.
Will threw 100 bits in. So happy for Ember after seeing her cry on WWE backstage about possibly never wrestling again. Anything she does for me is icing on the cake. That was absolutely rough.
Amen.
And kind of goes back to what I said a little bit ago. As a second baseman, I've heard a couple of Achilles pop, rounding bases, and it sounds like a shotgun going off. And it's one of the worst injuries as any form of athlete you can get, much less professional wrestling where you're diving and jumping around all over the place. Thank you, Will. Next up, Kyle, again with 100 bits. Thank you, sir. He said either a secondary title or move the tag titles down. If you do singles title strap Shotzi night 1, make it the prize for this year's Mae Young Classic. That's not a bad idea. Actually.
Well, Mae Young Classic is typically a lot of women that are not already signed. It's their way of showcasing the women and also checking them out to see if they want to sign them.
Yeah.
I think they should do a tournament kind of like what they just did with the vacant North American Championship for Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Create the new championship, and then we have a tournament for people that are already in NXT because you already have so many women you can use. So that would be what I'd like to see for it. Also, they did it with the Cruiserweight Championship. Like, do that. Do it again.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? And they've already done a couple of different styles of tournament. So find a different style. Do a round robin. Whatever. Let's have some fun with this.
Yeah.
But I think they have to put in a new women's championship because there's too many women just kind of hanging out there now, having mid-level feuds.
Yeah, you can split up like one of the last few main roster women's tag teams in the Iconics just so you could have Peyton Royce. Like it makes no sense. Let NXT have it for a year or two. Bring it.
Oh, the tag titles.
The tag titles. Bring them down.
Yeah,
there's an infinite number of women seemingly available. Good, solid wrestling women in NXT right now that we could do so much with them. It's unfortunate. Thank you everybody for all the hype train bits. Really appreciate it. And then there was one.
And it's time. It's time, Nick. Down to the main event of the show. Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. Kyle's first major singles attempt at a title in NXT, in WWE. And it's against the recently crowned Prince, Finn Balor, who just recently became champion after beating Kyle O'Reilly's stablemate in Undisputed Era, Adam Cole. So this, Nick, had a very interesting build where there wasn't a lot of outright animosity between these two guys. Finn was just acting like a strong champion who knew his worth, and Kyle was acting like an underdog who didn't believe that he was an underdog and knew his own worth. And I think one of the points they brought up in the match, and I like this aspect of it, was Kyle saying, yeah, you always say you've been in this for 20 years. I've been in it for 15. What's 5 years? It's not like I'm an amateur. It's not like I'm a newbie. I've been doing this for 15 years.
Oh, by the way, I've also been doing, to quote Wade Barrett, BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been a combat sports, martial artist. I've been doing all these other things that you haven't been doing, Finn.
Yeah.
So
you've been in here smiling like an idiot up on the main roster of WWE while I've been kicking dudes' heads off. So this was an interesting build. And it had a big fight feel. I loved the lights that they used before both of the main event matches, the women's and the men's matches, where they had all the spotlights in a square kind of flow out into the crowd and then back and create almost like a cage around the ring. And then focus in on the ring, and then you had Alicia Taylor come in with this really cool drop-down mic and do her awesome announcing of the match itself.
Michael Buffer style.
Yeah, big fight feel to it. And then we had the match, and they were off to the races. And it was, I have to admit, Nick, if you were to ask me before this match what I thought they were going to do in this match, it would have pretty much been what they did. Start off with a feeling out period, some strikes, some wrestling. Ultimately, Finn takes control for a while. Kyle has to fight upwards for most of the match, and then it just gets down to the two of them beating the absolute piss out of each other at the end of this match, focusing on a body part or two, and ultimately the winner's going to be the one who can just outlast the other one. That was pretty much this match in a nutshell, including in the middle of this some absolutely amazing selling by Kyle O'Reilly where Finn gave him a kick to the midsection, and he sold it like he'd gotten a liver shot or something in the guts where it hit him late, and he stumbled over. And I legit for a second there, the way the ref was selling it, the way that Finn was selling it.
He put his hand up and
oh, they had me wrapped around their fingers. I thought he was legit messed up inside, and he may have been, and we'll never know because he ended up fighting through the rest of the match, and that ended up being the focal point. I can only figure because it figured in the finish that it wasn't a work at all, or sorry, it wasn't a shoot at all. It was totally a work. It was totally pre-planned because the finish was ultimately them, targeting each other's weak points. Kyle had worked on Finn's leg throughout the entire match. Finn had worked his midsection, and Finn ultimately hits that coup de grace, or coup de gras, or coup de Gracie off of the top turnbuckle.
If you're Wade Barrett.
Coup de grace. The only time you'll hear an English guy use a nasal A. And boom, that was it. 1, 2, 3. And it was it was weird because the timing of the rate that they were going before that, and then how slowly Finn got up to hit it, was a little off. And it was my only nitpick about the match. Aside from that, this match was spectacular.
Yeah, it was. I feel like these guys left me wanting a little bit more. And I'm going to go back and reference the women's match as well. I feel like they got to fourth gear, but it never shifted to fifth.
Really?
There were a couple of stiff shots, knee strikes and things. They both ended up with popped lips and bloody mouths and things like that. And it was right there. And the selling was fantastic, and the work, everything was fantastic. I take nothing away from this match.
So not a 5-star, but like a 4.5, 4.75.
I mean, like a 4.75 if I had to Meltzer it. You know what I mean? Is it a match of the year candidate? I don't know. I'm looking back at Okada Ibushi. I'm looking back
That's
at
your favorite,
Cole Ciampa at Portland. Right. I'm sitting there going, those are a little better.
Interesting.
So I absolutely love this opportunity for Kyle. I hope more abound. But some things happened after the match that are...
Well, let's talk about Kyle real quick before we get to the plot after the match. Did this accomplish its ultimate goal, which was get Kyle O'Reilly over as a singles wrestler?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because
if you weren't a believer before and you had never seen anything that Kyle did in whether it was Ring of Honor or any of his MMA stuff or any of his jiu-jitsu competitions or any of that kind of stuff, you know that Kyle O'Reilly is a fighter now. And he fit right in that sort of pit fighter kind of aesthetic that they went for with the Capitol Center tonight. So he felt right at home.
Yeah. This felt like a fight.
Yeah,
this felt like a fight.
Yep.
A straight up fight. It was stiff strikes. It was really tightly locked in submission moves. It was, you couldn't fit a piece of paper between some of these holds.
Yeah.
It was just watertight.
Snug.
And it was very, very snug. And as I said, like the only nitpick I had was that the timing of the finish was a little bit wonky. Aside from that, everything else was, I loved it. It felt like watching a New Japan match.
Yeah.
A couple guys just beating the crap out of each other. And I loved it.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think this absolutely put Kyle on the map. It legitimized him. It made Finn look like a strong champion because he was able to withstand this guy who absolutely took it to him. And it made Kyle O'Reilly look like he could take it to a strong champ. Like you said, the blood really did sell how hard these guys were hitting each other in this match. Like Finn looking like the look that Finn gave him after this match. And he helped Kyle O'Reilly up and shook his hand after this match. The look that he gave him, that was...
Kyle did go to raise his arm and Finn yanked it in away from him. That was in case you missed that.
Yeah, it's like, you don't get to do that, but I'll help you up.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about Finn's characterization now is he knows exactly what that character is. And the expressions that he gave as he was deciding to go help up Kyle O'Reilly, magnificent. A lot of internal stuff going on there.
So before we talk about what happened after the match, I will say that coming into this, the Nick booking thought process
oh no
was that Kyle wins because Adam Cole comes in and turns on him, and we end up with Cole and Balor too sweet, and now we go. That's how we go off the show.
I was with your Nick booking until the Cole and Finn hookup. That's where I thought it got a little bit stretching the bounds of ludicrosity. I don't know, ludicrousness. Yeah, it was a little bit too much. But the idea of Adam Cole turning on Kyle O'Reilly seemed to be where they were going, and maybe that's what they were making us want to believe with Adam Cole's facial expressions as he was sitting in the locker room. At the beginning of this, so much of him putting over Kyle, saying Kyle's my best friend. All the commentators saying, "Oh, Adam Cole loves this guy."
There's a whole new version of Nick booking now, by the way.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of Surrey and Danger's booking as well, based on the fact that after this match, we didn't get what we all kind of suspected might happen, and that was an Adam Cole turn on Kyle O'Reilly and the splintering of Undisputed Era. Oh, no. Adam Cole did come out, by the way. He did come out, but not in the way we anticipated, because he didn't come out on his feet. He came out slung over the shoulders like a sack of wet, dead potatoes, over the shoulders of one Ridge Holland, or as we've started to call him now, Fridge Holland. Standing on the audience like a perfect gentleman, tossing Adam Cole's corpse over the guardrail. Kyle O'Reilly coming out to check on his fallen friend as Ridge slowly walks off. Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish come running out the back, screaming, "What happened? What happened? We didn't see it. Where'd he go?" As Roderick turns around and, there's Ridge still slowly lumbering away, and Strong just doesn't see him the way that he does. It was kind of like it reminded me a little bit of Strong versus Dexter Loomis, where he was just like randomly seeing stuff or not seeing stuff. Anyway, neither here nor there. The point of the matter is, Ridge Holland he's just put his boot in the eye of the Undisputed Era.
But why?
And that's. Should we go off on a little bit of crazy booking here, Nick?
I'm going to. I don't know if you want to come with me or not, but I'm going straight off the cliff.
All right. Well, I'm just going to back up. Tell you what? Before we go to crazy Nick booking, do you want to catch up real quick?
Let me catch up real quick because I think there's some chat booking happening right now. Costanza's threw in 100 bits. Thank you, sir. Sid, answer this after the match, okay? How does Kyle not have a solo push after that match?
He does. I think he does have a solo push. I think we might be seeing him go for the North American Championship by the end of the year.
I agree. Thank you very much, Chris. Kyle threw in 100 bits. Said something really awesome to note in this match. I caught Finn and Kyle O'Reilly talking back and forth in the ring in certain spots, which tells me this match was completely called in the ring.
That doesn't convince me it was completely called in the ring. That tells me that they were reminding each other what they had to do, or there was spots that they wanted to just trying to get on the same page, calling a sequence. Doesn't mean that they did the whole thing.
You've got a bulleted list of things you want to hit, and you know.
And every match is different. You have Macho Man who like to write down every single move, and you had to memorize every move that you were going to do out there. And you have some people who do it 100% on the fly. You have people like John Cena who's just going to sit there and scream at you what he wants done next. So, yeah, I would imagine there was a number of parts in this match that they called on the fly, or that they rejiggered depending on their, how the timing of everything. And there's some parts I suspect were probably completely improv, just based on the physical skills of the two guys involved. And okay, this segment, let's just fight. Yeah. Let's just actually try to wriggle out of each other's moves. So yeah, but the fact that they were talking to each other doesn't surprise me at all. I saw talking in pretty much every match tonight. So
yeah. And it might be the new venue. The cameras are going to be in different places. I saw some new shots like up at the turnbuckle. Things like that, and you're going to catch things that you wouldn't normally catch in those kinds of situations. So, lessons learned. I'm not gonna rate them too hardly on that kind of stuff. Okay, Ridge Holland after the match, after Finn Balor has helped Kyle O'Reilly stand up, refuses to allow him to raise his hand. All of a sudden, the camera cuts over to one Ridge Holland carrying Adam Cole, throws him over the barricade.
Yes.
At the ring, to display as a token almost. Hang on,
right.
Hang on. And what I think we're going to find out on NXT on Wednesday is that Ridge discovered Adam conspiring against Kyle backstage, and that he stopped Adam Cole from coming out and interrupting Kyle's match. So you're now going to have an alliance between Ridge Holland and Kyle O'Reilly as Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish struggle with Adam potentially turning on Kyle O'Reilly.
It never fails. Nick Booking goes so far beyond what that's so convoluted.
Will Ridge Holland align with Kyle O'Reilly? Tune in Wednesday to find out more.
That's pretty far out there booking. I think it's more straightforward than that. But the thing that I wonder is, did Adam Cole set it up with Ridge Holland? Like, are they on the same page and they're setting it up to set up Kyle O'Reilly down the road? That's also, I think, a little convoluted because then why didn't they actually interrupt the match?
Exactly. But I would not have been mad at a non-finish in this match.
I would have been. If after all that match, if you'd had a schmoz finish, I would have been disappointed. And I don't think that's NXT's brand either. That's not what they give you. So I am curious. I think actually, from a Gordian knot standpoint, it's the simplest solution is just cut the damn thing. Ridge Holland going to fight Undisputed Era. There's going to be a feud there. Whether he does it by himself, whether he has some other people that come to help him, I don't know. Or whether he takes them out one by one, whether we end up in a feud between Ridge and Kyle, and that's the first major singles feud that Kyle has is against Ridge Holland. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be as convoluted as, Adam Cole paid to have Ridge Holland beat him up, or Ridge Holland, found Adam Cole doing some skullduggerous stuff. He was going to betray Kyle O'Reilly, and so he took him out. That all seems a little bit out there.
Does Ridge Holland look like Corey Taylor's beefcake brother?
He's like Corey Taylor when he gets angry,
right.
Which is
he hulks up.
Not like real angry, because obviously that Slipknot's pretty angry, but like when he gets really angry.
No, if Corey Taylor did 6 cycles of anabolics and just played rugby, right?
Yeah. Corey does have a thick neck.
He does.
He does have a thick neck. Maybe it's like remember those old little sponge toys that you'd get and they were super tiny, but you threw them in water and they kind of and they'd soak up all the water and they get big. Yeah. Maybe Ridge is just Corey Taylor, after he takes a long bath.
He's been in the water too long. Yeah,
he just soaked up all that
swole.
Stuff. He's swole up.
Kyle with 100 bits said conspiracy theory. I like these. Ridge Holland is Adam Cole's muscle, and this was done to keep Kyle O'Reilly from becoming the focus of the group. Holland being Cole's Wardlow.
That's kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. So it's a misdirect in a way, and Cole just had him take him out there and toss him over. I don't see Cole making himself appear to be that weak.
I'm sorry. Ridge caught Cole gonna screw over Kyle O'Reilly, and he stopped him.
Yeah.
But that's not too far out there. But the idea that Cole hired Ridge Holland to distract Kyle O'Reilly at the end, and that's also no, but that's too far out there.
That's too
sorry.
Far.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyle. Sean Seaton threw in 100 bits. Thank you very much. Fish and Strong a bit. This is the point I'm getting at. Fish and Strong a bit too over the top when they ran out makes me believe they have something to do with it. I'm not sure if they were. And that's kind of where I go. I feel like Adam Cole and Fish and Roddy were gonna turn on Bullet Club style. We're gonna turn on Kyle O'Reilly, not to supplant the leader, but in a way, someone that was trying to be the leader that wasn't the leader in that sort of vein. But Ridge caught him. And Ridge is going to be like, I heard these bastards in the back conspiring against you, so I stopped them. I think that would be fantastic.
We just lost every single one of our British listeners.
No, just the ones from Yorkshire. Actually, they're probably going to show up at the house and glass me, but
probably.
It'll be interesting.
I won't even attempt it.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday, because I'm very curious. They didn't give us much more than Ridge tossing Adam Cole over the barricade, shirt torn, and Ridge just looks at them both with no expression and just walks away. And I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do with that. You're not really telling us anything by doing that. You're probably leaving us wanting more, and that's exactly what we want in these kinds of situations. Jacob threw in 100 bits, said, I see Finn and UE teaming up to stop Ridge. Undisputed Era did ask Finn if he saw what happened.
I don't know. I think it would be too soon to have Ridge go to the title picture, and I think Finn is going to have other things on his plate. I think there's a lot of other people that could be going up against Finn at this point in his position. And Ridge against four guys already, especially four guys that have run NXT for 2 years, that already is going to be a big rub for Ridge if he just has to go solo against them. Adding Finn Balor in there, that's just too much.
Yeah.
The scales are too unbalanced.
Well, you were right. I have to admit, no titles changed hands. As we were going out on our Friday show after we did our pick'ems, you said you're of the mind that no titles will change hands.
Mm-hmm. And what do you know?
It begs the question, why bother having the pay-per-view? If you're not going to have, like, you had some drama with the Garganos, you had some drama at the end with Ridge Holland and Cole. You had a couple of returns in Tony Storm and Ember Moon, and those reveals, it was kind of a cementing moment for Damien Priest. I get that. Great highlight reel for Kyle O'Reilly.
Setting up stuff for the women's division, a bunch of intrigue, and I think that if they're trying to have an NXT takeover every month, you're going to see more of this, especially if they're only having 5 matches.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have all the champions retained. That's just where your storyline's at. If we're going to assume that every time a title has to change hand on pay-per-view, it's going to make things predictable. Every once in a while, you have to have a pay-per-view where titles don't change hands. The question is, did you still feel like you watched a good pay-per-view? And here's the thing.
Absolutely.
I did. It was a great pay-per-view. Yeah. No titles change hands. So what? I just was massively entertained.
Yeah, and it's 2.5 hours. We're done
Pure
by
awesome
9:30 Eastern, 6:30. You still have a whole night ahead of you.
Damn right.
So I love the short form factor of getting these out, even though they are still amazing matches. I love the new venue reveal. I love the fact that we got 2 more powerhouse ladies coming back to the women's division. Whatever is going on with Ridge Holland and I keep wanting to call him Bullet Club. It's Undisputed Era. There's a lot of good outcomes from this. Match of the night, if you had to pick one.
The main event. The main event, Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. And narrowly, but still that's my match of the night.
Yeah. It's hard to pick between that and the Cruiserweight match, but I feel like the Kyle O'Reilly Finn Balor match got there a little bit further down the road. It got more and more. They got into that higher gear a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. The finish was really, really exciting for the most part.
It was.
But yeah, it was really tight. And that's the great thing, is that this was a show where you had no titles change hands, but it was still a fantastic show. We have to argue over what the best match is. And the quote unquote worst match, if we were going to argue what the worst match was, and if you take the whole Velveteen Dream scandal out of the picture, even the worst match was a fantastic match. So once again, NXT spoils us on the pay-per-view, and now we find out we have another pay-per-view in less than a month, Halloween Havoc. How awesome. So feeling very lucky right now, and also very glad we watched this show, and also glad that once again, 5 out of 5 in the pick'ems, Nick. Got every single match right. Not going to gloat too much, but just taking a quick second to there, just get a little back pat in there.
Did we get a date for that Halloween Havoc by chance?
They did give us the date. It's before the end of October.
It was either the 25th or the 28th. The
down.
reason I'm asking is because Hell in a Cell has been moved from November 1st to October 25th, Sunday the 25th. And I thought they said the 25th.
28th.
So it's going to be on a Wednesday. That's a Wednesday, the 28th. That's what I was curious about. Are they going to take up?
Now?
Yeah, are they going to take up the sort of AEW mantle like they were doing this summer with some of their pay-per-views and have them on the days of Dynamite? So
I wonder if it's only going to be network only, or if they're actually going to do it on their actual regular show.
Maybe USA paid a little bit more. I don't know. That's going to be interesting.
Tonight on a very special edition of NXT.
Which is also interesting because Halloween's on a Saturday. You could have had Halloween Havoc on a Saturday on Halloween.
And especially this year where maybe people don't go out quite as much on Halloween. That'd be my one thing is, well, people go out on Halloween. Maybe this year they don't as much, but I don't think they still want to compete with Halloween directly. So.
Anyway. Couple of last call-outs here. Kyle with 100 bits said this takeover seems like about righting the ship in a long-term direction after losing Cross. 6 months of booking was out the window with Karrion Kross hurt. Now we got and Keith Lee going to the main, by the way. Now we got sails pointed in a direction with the sea no longer flat. Cruiserweight match was my match of the night. Yeah, I'm torn.
Fair.
It's if I had to pick, it's like picking between your children. I loved both of the matches, right? Thank you, Kyle. Sean threw in 100 bits, said the upcoming draft doesn't mention NXT, but assuming each brand takes someone from NXT, who do you see going to Raw and SmackDown?
It's funny because they just took 5 people in Retribution and they just took Keith Lee. So they've already taken a lot of people from NXT. And I actually have tried to keep myself from thinking about who in NXT I want to see go to the main roster because it's become a horror show watching someone go to the main roster every time. And, where you're wondering, how is the main roster going to ruin this person?
Yeah, we had that big call up at the end of almost 2 years ago. Heavy Machinery, Lacey Evans, Lars Sullivan, and they just
Nikki
out of nowhere.
Nikki
Cross. It's just out of nowhere. Oh, they're coming up. What?
Massive influx of people. And the question is does main roster WWE need that right now? And I don't necessarily know that they do. I know that they've got some issues with people being out with COVID and whatnot. And maybe they want to bolster it in that way. They don't have to worry about making more people travel and whatnot.
And yes, the ever forgotten EC3. I'm sorry. Yes. He was part of that as well. Thank you, Will.
And Sanity too, I think. But Sanity was before that, and Nikki came up separately later. But the bottom line is that I look at people like Shotzi Blackheart, Dakota Kai. I look at people like Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, and say I don't want them to go to the main roster. Main roster will not understand that they won't get them. They're going to ruin them.
Yep. Their sort of their ethos, their celebrity, their image, their gimmick doesn't work. It doesn't transfer for people that haven't been watching it for years. And I think that's one of the tragic downfalls. It's a lot like 205 Live or Main Event or AEW Dark for that matter. When you don't talk about that stuff on your main flagship shows, nobody's got a reason to care or understand the history there unless you make these packages all the time that tell people the back history.
It's a bizarre philosophy where, back in the day, in the 90s and before, obviously, but this was when, I really started noticing it the most was, and that's because when I was just watching, was I'd see people on the indies or in other companies or whatever, and they go to WWE and they'd always repackage them. Now, WWE's been doing that forever, right? They repackage you no matter where you are and make you a cartoon.
Right.
Whether it's Greg the Hammer Valentine, whether it's Brutus the Barber Beefcake, whether it's the Mountie, whether it's, Mankind even, they're always going to make you over. Chili McFreeze. They're always going to have a gimmick for you when you come to WWE, and they would never mention where you were before. You could have been an absolute monster superstar in Japan, in WCW, wherever. It didn't matter because you go to WWE, clean slate. And that I always argued at the time and to this day was really shooting themselves in the foot because you take all the built-up goodwill, you take up all of the excitement about this person, the reason that the momentum that got them to the dance, and you throw it out the window and you make them start over fresh. It's like, okay, well, get over again. Yeah. And so it's so hard to get over in wrestling in the first place, and then you make someone do it all over again. Well, these days they don't do that. They mention that AJ Styles was a big star all over the world. They mention that he went to Japan, right? They don't call out other companies by name, but they'll still now say, yes, you were someone outside of here. And some people they bring to the main roster, let them keep most of their gimmick. AJ Styles is a great example of that. They let him keep pretty much all of his gimmick. So why would you not do that within your own company? You have all these people that have made these great characters in NXT. You have all the storyline history back down there. You have the legitimacy of them being champions. And what is you're trying to tell us is a third brand that you think is legitimate enough to compete with another whole wrestling promotion. So why would you not take all of that momentum they have built in NXT and keep it going on the main roster? Now, we're kind of getting off on a bit of a tangent here, Nick, on a show. We're supposed to be talking about a pay-per-view, but damn it, you triggered me.
Yeah.
Because I've got too many people that came up from NXT that had incredible momentum, had all these great aspects to their package. They'd figured out who they were, and they get to the main roster, and poof, it's gone. And they have to start over from scratch, and Vince tampers with them and tinkers with them until they're unrecognizable, or they don't call back to their history, looking at Bayley, and they have no idea how to deal with the character without history. And they're just like, yeah, you like Bayley just because she's Bayley. That doesn't make us like Bayley. And they had to turn her heel for us to give a crap about her again. So it's mind-boggling.
And
to me.
Vince gets to take credit for that.
when you ask me who do I think is going to get called up in NXT in the draft, my answer is nobody. I hope.
I don't want anybody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Everybody who I like right now in NXT is not going to work on the main roster. They're not going to have anything good for them. I'm terrified for them. So nobody, I hope, is my answer.
Sean threw another 100 bits in after that. Said apologies for leading you down a rabbit hole, but appreciate your thoughts. Thank you very much, Sean, for the follow-up. I feel like that's, we've had bonus episodes for you patrons. You know this. We've had a couple of bonus episodes where we talk about NXT stars. Are they going to make it? Grading them and how their ascension has been. All of that kind of stuff. Ascension, another good example. Good Lord,
Lord.
You basically had. Oh, just never mind. I'm not going to
go there. Don't go there.
Just not going there. You had a modern version of one of the best tag teams
you're going
ever.
There. You're going there.
Okay.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
Ian, you picked everything right.
I did, and I thought it was a fairly straightforward pay-per-view. And again, that's why it makes me even happier that it was so good. We had 5 fantastic matches, 5 outcomes I thought were the right decision. We had a great time over in Discord. Thank you for everyone who was hanging out with us there. We're having a great time on this show with everyone who's hanging out with us on Twitch. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast or seeing us on YouTube or on VOD here on Twitch, then thank you for checking out our show. But Nick, that's pretty much it. We said we had Takeover. It left us in a very interesting place going forward to next week's NXT. Lots of people, we got a couple women coming back on the show. We got whole new open spaces for the title pictures. Some nice new feuds, lots of intrigue getting set up over in NXT. So overall, no titles change hands. I don't care. Great show.
Fantastic show. Even though I do like a little bit more drama with my pay-per-views. Still a fantastic show.
That wasn't enough drama for you with 2 people coming back in a women's title picture and Ridge Holland tossing dead Adam Cole over the barricade. That wasn't enough drama?
Let me finish.
Oh, okay.
Everything I just said, Tony's back.
Oh, my God.
Also, Ridge Holland, just good Lord, what a look for that dude. Not to mention what happened earlier this week on NXT, but also to follow it up with a takeover spot, closing out the show. Oh, mwah, I love it.
When in doubt, no matter what, the show could be absolutely terrible, but it's all good as long as you give Nick Tony Storm, baby. Tony. Yep.
No, it's Tony Storm. Storm.
Storm. I don't care how it is. It's my damn song.
Let's get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for an awesome night tonight. Thanks for hanging with us as we watched that and broke it down here on BWO Live. Come over and join us in the Discord. If you're not in there, scroll down. There's a panel with a link down below, or you can do !Discord right here in the chat to get a link and sign up for all of the watch parties and live chats and everything that go on over in our Discord. That's a really good time. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BWO Podcast. Subscribe over at youtube.com/BustedWideOpen. And if you'd like to get audio-only versions of this show and any in the future, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for that. Just that $5 tier. Just buy me a beer one time a month.
One beer a month.
Just $5 a month.
Yeah.
That's how you normally do it, right, at Madness? $5.
$5. Like Booker T looking at his title reign. 5 times.
You also get show notes, the ability to play in the Patron Pick'em Challenge, and that's just at the $5 tier. We got bonus episodes, we got Skype calls, we got all kinds of good stuff over at patreon.com/BWO, along with bits and subs. Thank you, everybody, for all the bits and subs tonight here
Thank you
on
guys
Twitch.
Very much.
Patreon is one of the best ways to support myself and Sir Ian Dangerous and the show and make sure that we keep everything running smoothly. So patreon.com/BWO, get signed up, and you can even get a discount if you're willing to sign up for annual sort of subscription. You can get a 10% discount over there as well.
Make sure you keep that U in there.
Have I shilled everything yet at this point?
Yes, I think so. I think that's everything. So let's get on out of here.
Let's get out of here. Hang tight for a quick raid, guys. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But my God!
Will somebody stop the damn match!
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.
And we're back. Okay.
Hey,
we got Austin Creed. We got Zelina Vega's undoubtedly in subscriber-only mode. Brandon Cutler is on playing Fall Guys. That could be fun.
Okay.
Let's see. Make sure he's not in any crazy mode. He could be fun. He's got 72 people. Wrestling Leva's playing Ghost of Tsushima again. She's working her way through that. Let's see.
Is that Leva Bates?
Yeah, Leva Bates.
Oh, nice. Good game.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten to it yet.
Good game.
Things are about to slow down for me a little bit. So I'm looking at Brandon Cutler or Leva Bates. Throw your votes in chat, guys.
Or Xavier, if you guys want to do that.
He's playing Last of Us Part 2. I figured you wouldn't want to support that walking simulator.
That's fine. I don't know. Whatever chat says.
Cutler.
This is there.
2
Everyone's
votes for
saying
Cutler,
Cutler.
1 for Leva.
Cutler going once. Cutler going twice. Let's go, Ray Brandon Cutler.
Cutler it is. All right. Bran Cutler. Raid Bran Cutler. Oh, now we got 2 more for Leva.
Uh-oh. Oh, to leave out a sudden
controversy.
Comeback? Uh-oh.
The Leva votes are done. All right, that's Leva Bates. All right. We're going to go say hi to Leva Bates. Done.
I love democracy.
Yes, I love democracy. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Guys.
This was awesome. Great show tonight. Lively chat as always. So thank you
Love
guys very, very much. Come on, a few more. Go, go, go. And we'll see you guys Tuesday.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Cuts over.
All right.
You out of here?